Welcome back, everybody, to my commentary series where we talk about crazy stuff happening in the world that honestly should not be happening. I'm Shelby Church. If you've never heard of me, I have a bunch of videos just like this one. And today we're talking about a topic I'm very passionate about. I get very heated, very mad about, and that is grocery store greed. Specifically, the 1% wanting you to eat cereal for dinner and big food companies just really taking advantage of consumers and pushing profits like crazy. But before we get into it, I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. If you guys aren't familiar with BetterHelp, it's a service that can connect you with a licensed therapist that can listen to you and give you helpful, unbiased advice. I have personally used it before. After I had jaw surgery, I had a really hard time with my face. It was swollen for so long, it looked really crazy, and it was just difficult to deal with. I've also used it in other times where I've just been unsure of where I want to go, whether it's moving or like career decisions, and it's nice to have an unbiased opinion, not somebody who has any stakes in what you choose and can just be a sounding board. And BetterHelp I find to be very convenient because you can do it anywhere. You can do it in the comfort of your home. You can video call, you can message, or you can do regular calls with your therapist. You don't have to drive anywhere or sit in a waiting room because that can be kind of awkward and time consuming. If you want to get started with BetterHelp, you first go to their website and fill out a questionnaire. You can actually get a 10% discount if you use my link, so I'll have that below and I'll have it on the screen. It's betterhelp.com/Shelby. You'll go to the website and answer a few questions, and usually within 48 hours, it can match you with a therapist. And don't feel like you have to go with the first therapist that they match you with. If you want to, you can switch therapists at any time, and I think that's important to remember because you might not vibe with the first person that you're matched with. That's completely normal, by the way. Like, if you are struggling with something right now, just know that we all struggle at some point. I definitely have felt anxious at points in my life. I think in the world that we live in, that's pretty normal. It's pretty rare for someone to not experience anxiety or depression at some point. But if you are ready to take a step in getting help, BetterHelp can be a great way to do that because it is very convenient. So if you want to get started with BetterHelp, you can go to the link down below. And during sign up, you can get a special discount on your first month. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring. And now let's get into the grocery store greed. What really pushed me over the edge into making this video was a Kellogg's executive going on air on the news about his marketing campaign to push people to eat cereal for dinner. If you haven't seen it, let's take a look.
The cereal category has always been quite affordable, and it tends to be a great destination when consumers are under pressure. So we're advertising about cereal for dinner. If you think about the cost of cereal for a family versus what they might otherwise do, that's going to be much more affordable.
When I say cereal, you say dinner. Cereal.
Dinner!
Cereal.
Dinner!
The idea of having cereal for dinner, is there the potential for that to land the wrong way?
Even the reporter is like, stop. Like, what are you saying? It is so obviously out of touch telling people to have cereal for dinner. Cereal is not very nutritious. I think we all know that. The fact that they know, oh, people can't afford a real meal, so eat cereal. Eat this processed garbage. Like, cereal kind of reminds me of dog food. Dog food even kind of looks like some cereals, you know? You know this guy, this Kellogg CEO is certainly not eating cereal for dinner. The audacity to do this campaign in the first place is wild, but to go on air and tell the world about it is just insane. It's like offensive in my opinion. Do they think people are stupid? And people did not react well to this. Just take a look.
Oh my God.
You want to really stick it to Kellogg's? Here's all the other brands they own and don't put their name on, and I'm going to give you alternatives so that you never have to buy Kellogg's again.
Breaking news, the Kellogg's boycott is working as the food and beverage company is having to slash prices due to lack of sales.
While Kellogg's ran this marketing campaign, they also raised the price of their cereal. Like they have in the last few years, they raised it 12%. If you go look at a box of cereal, it is really expensive right now. And you know that stuff is so cheap to make.
Okay, I'm here at a Ralph's, and sure enough, $5 for a box of cereal. Normally it's on sale for $4, so maybe the boycott is making a difference. But $5? That's crazy. And the large size is $7, and it's not that large. It's like a little bigger.
And this campaign completely flopped. People started boycotting all of Kellogg's products because Kellogg's is not just cereal, but they also have other snacks. It's hard to avoid them if you're in a regular grocery store that's not Trader Joe's or Aldi, there's a lot of stuff. If you're going to the snack section, you will accidentally probably buy something.
I was actually really sad to see that RX bar is on here because I do like those. But yeah, lots of stuff.
You know they're not even filling the box all the way some of the time. Like the packaging is misleading to make it look like you're getting more than you're getting.
Kellogg specifically is guilty of shrinkflation. They reduced the size of one of their cereals by 150 grams. So the price that you're getting per gram is way higher.
You know, people aren't dumb. People are more and more paying attention to where they're spending their money now in the grocery store. After the fatigue of food inflation for quite a while now, we see that campaign and we're just like, absolutely not. I inadvertently participated in this campaign, and I say inadvertently because I don't ever buy Kellogg's products, so I didn't have to put any effort into boycotting it. I'm just in a constant boycott of Kellogg's. I just don't buy that stuff. I don't really shop at Kroger grocery stores to begin with. I'm a Trader Joe's girly. Obviously, the Kellogg's thing is really crazy, but this is all part of a larger conversation around grocery stores and big food companies pushing profits to a point that is just absurd and blaming inflation when it's really not inflation, and we know that now. The reason we know this is because companies have to show their profits, they have to report their earnings to their shareholders, and most of them, in this time where there was very high inflation, also had record profits. One example is Tyson Foods. They doubled their profits from the first quarter of 2021 and the first quarter of 2022. If a company is able to double its profits while there is inflation, then they are definitely not only just raising the price to cover inflation. They're obviously raising it a lot higher so that they're making a higher profit. Inflation was a great excuse for these companies to do that because while they were raising the price and everyone was like, oh, it's inflation, they could raise it just a little bit more. Meat specifically is one that has gotten so expensive that I don't even buy it at the grocery store anymore. I just go out to eat for dinner because going to Chipotle is cheaper for me than buying and cooking my own meat. Just look at this TikTok from a creator, Aaron Confortini.
Can someone please explain to me why I paid $18.03 for a 3-pack of chicken breast this morning?
$18. And that's not that much chicken. That, I swear, a year ago would have been like $10.
When it comes to corporate greed in the grocery store, it comes from two places: the grocery stores themselves and the big food companies that manufacture the products. When it comes to grocery stores themselves, it's the Kroger-owned ones that are just pushing the price of things to a ridiculous level. And just look at some of the prices of the stuff in this TikTok.
Bag of this white popcorn used to be, I don't know, $1 or $2. $5.19 on sale. Really crappy paper plates. $10.99.
The thing about grocery prices being higher is it's not just the grocery stores themselves raising the prices, but it's also the big food companies. If you go into a traditional grocery store, most of those products are manufactured by about 10 different companies. You can take a look. There's Coca-Cola, there's Conagra Foods. A lot of the packaged items are just owned by a few companies at this point, and a lot of them own most of that category. Coca-Cola and Pepsi own most of the beverages. Really, the only times that you're not purchasing from these companies is the produce section, bulk items, things like flour, maybe salt, but a lot of those even are owned by a parent company as well. And so it's kind of a double whammy situation because not only are the grocery stores themselves recording record profits, but all of those individual food companies are also recording record profits. So really, both of them are pushing the prices of things. And this is why when you go to somewhere like Trader Joe's, it's a lot less expensive, is because they don't have any of those major food brands in there. It's all the Trader Joe's brand. So like we said, Tyson Foods is one company that doubled its profits, but General Mills was also found to be up 97%. And they're also big in the cereal category and snack category.
It was even found that Pepsi raised their prices 59%.
It's happening gradually. You know, the first year things were 5 to 10% more expensive. You don't notice it that much, but 5 years of that and we're like, why are groceries almost double the cost of what they were back in 2019? I feel like this TikTok really paints the picture of how a lot of us feel. $150 worth of groceries in 2019, like it got you a lot of stuff, versus in 2023, it does feel like it just gets you like a handful of things, like one bag full of stuff. Like, it might not even last you the whole week. Oftentimes, it feels cheaper to just eat out for dinner. That is actually what I do now. I make my own breakfast and lunch food, but for dinner, I just go to Cava or Chipotle. I can make a Chipotle bowl last me 2 days, and that's cheaper than cooking the same ingredients just for myself, because a lot of it goes to waste if you're cooking for one or even sometimes two people. I thought, am I just like really bad at grocery shopping? But I'm not the only one. This guy said he spends like $1,200 a month just for a couple, not a family.
So my wife and I spend $1,200 a month on groceries, and it's just us. We have no kids. And I got a few comments of people being like, there's no way you spend that much money. What the heck are you buying? So I had to double check my work. But it's true. Every 3 days, we spend about $90 to $100 every 3 days. We eat home 6 nights a week. We like to have protein, veggies, and a salad. And then we have 2 other meals and a snack. But we buy the protein, the lettuce, veggies, lunch meat. We do buy water and club soda, occasionally like a frozen pizza or like a deli sandwich. But yeah, out the door is about $1,200 on groceries.
$1,200 a month, while it does sound crazy, I think a lot of people just aren't actually looking at how much they are also spending at the grocery store, because it probably is close to that if you're going to a normal grocery store, if you're a couple or even a family. Like it quickly adds up. But he's not going crazy. He's really not going crazy, and it's $1,200 a month. Another thing that's increasing the cost of your groceries are seed companies bullying farmers. Seed companies are very corrupt. Companies like Monsanto, not just for what they're doing here, they do a lot of messed up stuff, but watch this TikTok to see what's happening to farmers today when they want to go plant their seeds.
The seed companies are essentially bullying farmers into buying their seeds, which is another reason why your food is becoming so expensive. Probably didn't know this, but farmers can be and will be sued if they plant their own seeds. Farmers don't own the rights to the genetics of their own seeds, unless they're using heirloom seeds. So in order to have the right to plant these seeds, we have to pay a fee. The seed company can actually come onto your property, check your plants, and if the plant has any trace of their genetics. So my order of 3 totes just came in, enough to plant 300 acres of soybeans, and to have the right to plant them, it cost me over $30,000.
It's truly insane, in my opinion, that you would have to rebuy the seeds when you already have them. I don't know how we got to that point, but it's messed up to the farmers, but also to us consumers, because at the end of the day, if it costs more for farmers to make food, guess who's paying for it? We are.
Because Monsanto can raise the price of the seeds, everything else soybean related will go up in price as well, like soy milk, tofu, really everything.
A lot of the comments are saying this should be illegal. I agree. I feel like just the fact that you can patent a seed to begin with is iffy. I kind of get it if you're spending a lot of research genetically modifying something into a certain type of plant. If you make a product that can just by nature reproduce itself, it's kind of not a good business unless they're doing something sketchy like this, like forcing farmers to rebuy the seed when they don't really need to. A big topic of discussion when it came to food inflation for a while was the price of eggs. Egg prices went up like crazy about 6 months ago, and we were all under the belief that it was because of the avian flu. A lot of chickens were out of commission, basically. A lot of them died, unfortunately. But there's more to the story than that. One would think that an avian flu would really hurt the egg industry. However, Cal-Maine Foods, one of the biggest producers of eggs in the US, had record profits of 718%. It just doesn't make sense, because you would think that they don't have enough eggs to sell to get to 700% profits. The only way that they could possibly do that is raise the price dramatically. It turns out 2 of the biggest egg producers in the US were found liable for price fixing. Price fixing is when 2 competitors get together and say, we're not going to go below this number, say $3 for a dozen of eggs. So they're not really competing anymore. They're acting more like a monopoly. And this is illegal in the US. The Sherman Antitrust Act prohibits doing this across pretty much every industry. And this was really just the concrete proof that while there was actually an avian flu going on, they also took that as an opportunity to collude and price gouge us. So this is just one example that we have actual proof of, but I wouldn't be shocked if other food categories were doing this as well.
In fact, sugar companies have been accused of price fixing, as well as beef companies, which actually doesn't shock me.
Another thing that we have to talk about is food deserts and how a lot of people are being ripped off because they have no other options. Food deserts are usually rural areas that have very few options for groceries and even restaurants. So many times in my videos, I encourage people to go to Trader Joe's or Aldi, but that's not realistic for everyone if your closest Trader Joe's is 100 miles away. For a lot of of communities, Dollar General is the only option for grocery shopping in their town. And it turns out they've been doing some sketchy stuff. Dollar General was found guilty of advertising one price on the shelf and then charging you a higher price when you go to check out. Check this out.
So these SpaghettiOs were $1.50 on the shelf, but I actually paid $2.25 for them. An employee at the shuttered Clintonville store told NBC4 they were just following orders from corporate.
I mean, when you're checking out at a grocery store, are you really watching every little thing to double check and make sure it's correct? I know I'm not. I'm replying to texts, I'm talking to the cashier. I'm not really looking to make sure everything's right on the screen. And I get that mistakes can happen. They can accidentally put the wrong label on something, but this just seemed purposeful because they were found of doing this on over $1 million worth of product. So this was across more than just one store. And that's just what they found evidence of. It's likely that they actually overcharged people quite a bit more. And Dollar General customers are usually low income. Business Insider found that the average Dollar General shopper makes under $40,000 a year. So I think it's especially messed up to brand these people that are low income. Some people say that it's straight up stealing. And as much as I just want to say, just don't shop there, for some people that is the only grocery store in town. Dollar General will also move into towns and run the other grocery stores out of business. Vice News made a whole video about this. They go in, they price things lower until the other grocery store can't survive.
At least on a weekly basis, we get emails or calls from some small town saying Dollar General has been in town and our business has suffered, or Dollar General is getting ready to move into town. Can you help us figure out a way to respond to that?
And then everyone in that community is left with a very limited selection. It usually doesn't have produce or meat, but it is cheap, and that's why people go there. At least it seems cheap until you check out. So you might be like now, okay, screw grocery stores altogether. I'm gonna be a farmer's market girly. But it turns out there are some farmer's market scams as well, unfortunately. First of all, have you guys been to a farmer's market recently? It is a ripoff. It is, I would say, 3 times more expensive than Trader Joe's. It's Erewhon prices.
What I bought at the farmer's market for $40. My favorite strawberries. These are $14, but so worth it.
I mean, $14 for strawberries, come on. I really feel like farmers markets used to be more affordable, and then they became trendy, and the farmers there realized that they could charge higher prices. But hey, at least you're supporting the local farmers, right? Well, it turns out that's not always the case. CBC News did a whole investigation in Canada into farmers markets and found that there's a lot of sellers there that are not actually local farmers. They go to a wholesaler and then they bring it to a farmer's market and pretend to be a farmer. They'll even claim that things are organic when they're not. And sometimes they found that it's the exact same stuff as that's in the grocery store, but they can just sell it for more at the farmer's market.
At this market, the vendor says the name of his family farm is Cornif, but we saw produce with that name at least 3 other markets. The other place we spot Cornif is at the grocery store.
I think that some people assume farmers markets will be cheaper because you're cutting out the middleman. So in theory, with the grocery store cut out, you should be getting a discounted price. But usually it's actually way more expensive. And I don't want to totally discourage people from going to their local farmers market, because if there are actual small local businesses there, I think that's great to support them. But you have to be careful that you are actually doing that, because some farmers markets are not regulating things. They're not checking exactly where everything is from. So in some cases, it is just the same stuff that you're buying at the grocery store.
So how to not get ripped off? Basically, go to Trader Joe's or Aldi. Trader Joe's has their own in-house brands. They have their own supply chain, so they actually pass a lot of savings on to us.
A lot of people actually think the price of things at Trader Joe's is cheaper because you're getting less product, and that is not true. I did my own little study in my inflation video, and I actually looked at how many ounces of things you were getting, making sure that they were the same, and you still save money going to Trader Joe's. CNET.com also did their own study. You can see they found things that are the exact same size and what the cost was at Trader Joe's and at a store called Stop and Shop. The ending total, you would have spent $150 at Trader Joe's or $227 at Stop and Shop. That is a 33% decrease if you shop at Trader Joe's. That is a significant amount. Actually very significant when you think about the fact that you spend probably thousands of dollars a year on groceries. If you just go to Trader Joe's or Aldi, you will save probably over $1,000 a year than if you're going going to these other grocery stores. I think the only reason a lot of people still go to those bigger grocery stores is it's usually more convenient. There are more of them. A lot of times Trader Joe's isn't the closest option and it's kind of out of the way and it is a little hectic in there. And I can see why people don't want to go all the time. But it truly is worth going out of your way once a week to go to Trader Joe's, in my opinion. So that, you guys, is why your groceries seem so much more expensive now. It's not because of the supply chain. I think as long as we're seeing those food companies have record profits, we know that it's not just inflation, it's them price gouging as well. So grab your shopping bag and go to Trader Joe's, you guys, or Aldi, because Aldi is even cheaper. If you guys have any other thoughts on this, like crazy stuff you've seen at the grocery store or tips that you have for, you know, saving money a little bit, comment down below. I think we are hitting the breaking point and grocery stores aren't going to be able to raise the prices anymore. So I think we might be getting to a point where this slows down. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more similar to this one, I will have them linked down below and I will see you in my next video. Bye.